employees working for the city of Brooklyn Center are entitled to due process with respect to discipline. This employee will receive due process, and that's really all that I can say today.
Do you support the determination of an officer like this who has made the type of mistake that has cost a resident of yours life? Do you support the termination of this type of officer? And what message are we sending here in Brooklyn Center to the rest of the world about the valuation of black life? Do you support the termination of this type of an officer?
You know, I understand and appreciate the comment that you made and why you said it. But if I were to answer that question, I would be contradicting what I said a moment ago, which is to say that all employees are entitled to due process.
That city manager was fired for saying that. That's right. He's been fired. The city manager of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, terminated from his job for saying that there's an expectation here of due process for all city employees. That's Kurt Boganey, and he's fired for stating a fact. This is the country we live in now. You understand this? You can be fired. You can suffer consequences for speaking the plain truth about something for which there can be no debate about whether what you said isn't true. It's just people don't like the truth, and then you suffer the consequences. You say something that is true. You say the sky is blue, and the mob says, I don't want to hear that. You're fired. That's what happened. Every city employee, I mean, it depends on where you are, but they all have some form of due process procedure for somebody who does, who has a situation like this on the job. For law enforcement, for any public sector employee, there's usually a union agreement or there's some understanding and there's an investigation. Now, I understand that we have a video and it all seems very clear, but they do have to take statements and there is a due process here. And for people that are saying, oh, it doesn't matter, get rid of it. Okay. So when someone's accused of murder, do we just skip the trial and just take them down to the hanging scaffold? Is that where we're going to go to as a society here? Or do we have trial by jury? Do we have presumption of innocence? I'm sorry. I'm not willing to throw out fundamental judicial procedures, fundamental issues of justice in our society through the system because people are angry. People are angry is not enough for us to abandon central systematic protections of the individual here through the process. Yeah. Do I think this woman's going to lose her job? She's definitely going to lose her job, folks. And she should. And she might get criminally prosecuted. It depends on the specific statutes in the state of Minnesota. She's not going to go to jail, most likely, I'd say, for a long time. But, she might get a few years. Again, it varies. And I'm not a criminal defense attorney and certainly don't know the laws in the state of Minnesota specific to this. But, yeah, could she end up serving, 3, 4, 5 years in prison for this? Yeah. That sounds plausible to me based on what's happened in other cases. And, just the whole thing, though, we now are in a place where you can get in trouble for saying what is factually true. I mean, this would be like saying, if I stood up and said, Derek Chauvin deserves the legal presumption of innocence in the courtroom through our system, and someone said, you know what? Yeah, but I don't like you saying that about Chauvin, so, you're fired. But I'm just stating a fact and the truth and something that's been agreed upon in our society for a very long time as well. But, oh no, the whole system, the rules have to be thrown out. The moment that they are inconvenient to the leftist authoritarians, there can be no protection. There can be no process. And they will undermine it. They talk so much about sacred institutions under the Trump administration. What could be a more sacred institution than trial by a jury of your peers, the presumption of innocence, due process? Now, I know in this case they're talking about administrative process, but that still exists for a reason too. That's also there so that people don't suffer unfair consequences, that they have a right to make their side of the issue known. No matter how awful somebody is, and whether we're talking about a mass murderer, we still understand that they should have the presentation of the right to, I mean, a lot of the times I'll take a plea bargain, but the presentation of a defense and the process still matters. Here's the Minnesota mayor, Mike Elliott, though, who was part of the fire the guy for saying there should be due process chorus. Play 18.
We're right now assessing what we're going to do, what actions we're going to take next. In any other line of work, if you kill someone in any other line of work, you are at the very least going to lose your job. And so my position has been that, I do believe that the officer should be fired. I do believe she should lose her job.
Yeah. He's calling down on calling for the firing of Kim Potter, who should be fired, quite clearly, based on what we've seen, but also does deserve her due process. So we'll have to see how this continues to shake out. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.